For me, it's the last time as a full employee of an insurance company at any conference, because I will stop working operatively at the end of July, but then I will stay as a consultant, and it's because I really love the area of Central Eastern Europe. I've been traveling throughout the area since 1987. At that time, trying to find companies fronting the upcoming joint ventures with German capital. So I remember first time coming here to Bucharest, it was still during Ceausescu's time. A big Mercedes picked me up, was driving like an idiot, said, "Aren't you afraid to hit somebody?" I said, "No, good car, no dent." So he was not afraid about the car, he was afraid about the car, not about the people. That's so different. If you look where the countries come from and where they go, it's very different. In the insurance market, it was monopolists, and then it was diversity, almost too big diversity, and now we have an oligopoly very often, and now changing again. And just to see how much it changed, I took the liberty to look at my first FIAR conference, 2002. I still had a program in THEILMEIER, and I had 28 meetings with reinsurance managers from 20 insurance companies. And all of them had, only one of them had international shareholders. A second one was just at the edge of becoming an international shareholder. Everybody else was domestic money. Everybody from a reinsurer's point of view had local reinsurance programs. So they were buying reinsurance locally. Today, I think there is only one or 1.5 left. They had it for all lines of business, very simplistic structures. All the reinsurance was proportional. Now it's almost exclusively non-proportional except for certain capital things. The key topics at that time, event limits and is there a cat risk? Most of my colleagues then said, never happens in Romania. But the earthquake, yeah, okay, but then the state will pay. And there was a discussion about destructive results in motor. So the motor results were really, really bad, so the retentions had to go up and the proportional treaties had to be reshuffled to non-proportional treaties. If you look, this is a totally different world today. And what I here talk about THEILMEIER and FIAR was the case in almost all the other countries. So this has gone into a direction that you have an oligopoly of 3 to 8 international groups, partially regional, partially worldwide acting groups. The question is that a trend that will continue? And here again I look, when I started in insurance, 1987, McKinsey said there will be in 10 years' time only 10 big international insurance groups in the world dominated by Japanese life insurance. That was fully clear. Mutuals will be gone, by the way. There was only one big mutual, the Meiji, in Tokyo. Now, pretty wrong. There is more insurance companies than ever. Just look in the US, they found roughly 80 insurance companies a month, new ones, 80. Very often small retention groups. Like where my mom lives in Pennsylvania, the school teachers of Pike County have formed a risk retention group for liability of school teachers. There's maybe 800 school teachers in the district. They have an own retention group. So there is a tendency towards specialization. I'm traveling recently throughout the region for startups. There is at least 15 startups I know in the region. And on top of that, there is new portfolio structures, especially from Lloyd's things, and hopefully soon some mutual development. So, is it wrong? Is it going in what direction is it going? What about the big groups? Well, recent news from big groups, you read, Ergo is selling in Croatia and is selling in Ukraine. Generali wants to sell certain companies. Allianz is getting out of certain areas in certain countries. So it's more a reverse. If you look in some of the countries, I know if there would be a good buyer giving at least a book value as a buying price, they would be out of the country very quickly. So there is a reverse move away out of the countries. And one of the reasons is complexity. So that due to the big group's complexity, corporate governance costs are so high for small insurers in small markets that it's not worthwhile. So if you ask a big group from AXA to Allianz to Zurich, A to Z, ask, why aren't you in Albania? Well, very simple. They say, the market is too small. Why aren't you in the Baltics? Well, the market is too small. So the Austrians are a little bit different sometimes. They think a little bit different. They act a little bit different, a little bit more local. But what it says is, if you're Albanian, well, great, I have less competition. I could do myself. But on the other side, they're looking for international money. So there is a way of financing insurance activities. I'm also working for a software company, and we have had a study that the fixed costs for an insurance company in IT have significantly dropped. The peak was in the early 80s, with about, at that time, 15 million EQ as a base cost for an IT system. Today, it's less than 1 million euro. So it's much, much easier today to run a small insurer than ever before. The only thing we have to watch out is that the regulators don't overdo it, because they're at the edge of sometimes, let's say, not adhering to the principle of proportionality to the fullest extent. But that's a role that could be done. What speaks against it, and then I'll stop, seems to be diversification. Oh, motor results have been shambles. That's why we diversified. But I like somebody used the following picture for diversification. Diversification is as if you have poison. So what you do is you thin it down so it's not poisonous anymore if you drink only a little, but you keep the whole portfolio, so you keep the whole poison. So you just have to drink a lot more water with the poison, you still get the same poison. And so if something is bad, don't try to remedy it indirectly. Yeah? If motor is bad, don't try to ruin it by property business or to level it out. Yes, there is something like diversification, but this is a misunderstanding. And if now motor is very profitable, it doesn't mean that you should give up property or just concentrate on motor again until it's bad again. If you look, the market I know best, I have to admit it's not Romania, it's Poland. They're already in the 4th cycle of motor results since 1989. Yeah, from very bad results to very good results. So motor will always stay that way. Yeah? It is a volatile business, and diversification will not change that. Well, this was a little bit my introduction. So I think we are at the edge of looking very local again in some areas, which I really like. I think I've seen how difficult it is in big groups to keep everything together. And just to see what my company, Gen Re, is doing, we have split up the company into 8 silos. And each silo is run by a manager completely responsible for everything. So we've done the opposite. We have more or less diminished all the global units. So terms which are introduced by some big insurance groups, we have abolished, taken down very significantly. And what it shows, I'm working in one of those silos. We are much faster. We are more like a group of speedboats than a big tanker. And I think this is, in many areas, the future. It's easy to say we have all these billions of capital behind, because that's not silo-ized. The capital is staying together in Omaha with Warren Buffett. And yeah, if you have hundreds of billions of capital available, it's easy to talk. But outside of that, I think being faster and smaller is the future. So I wish us a very good conference.